Interview with Aimee Creed Schmidt, October 2nd, 2003, at her home in, what city is this?
Nobody want to know. But I don't know.
You remember everything. You have a better memory than I do. Okay, I'd like you to tell me what you can remember about where you grew up.
I have everything good of that. I remember everything. Oh, not everything was good. I remember some bad things too. But I gotta go to the pantry. Don't forget, should I remember the good things?
I want you to tell me about the location. Where was it?
Well, that's about as far as you can go in California before you get to Oregon. In fact, Oregon is just over the hill. That's where we had to go when we had sickness or anything that was catching or anything like that. We could go to the doctor. And I had to go when I was 7 years old. I had double pneumonia. And they took me to Medford. That's where you see Medford, Oregon.
What was the place like? The house that you lived in?
Well, let's see. I can remember 4 different places we lived.
All in Siskiyou County?
We were all of them about probably 5 miles of each other. We lived with Grandpa at the store. He had an apartment upstairs. And Grandpa and Grandma had a little house. Just, maybe right on a creek. I'd seen that. It was still there the last time I was there, and that was in it was the early 70s.
Is there any way that somebody could find it if they were looking for it? How could you describe it so that somebody could find it?
It's easy to find because there's only a few. The school was there, but they did move the school. But the Grandpa's little grocery store was still there, and the little house that they lived in was still there. It was all on the same property.
So Grandpa had his own grocery store, or did he manage it?
He managed it. Because at that time, he was, Aunt Goldie worked in the store. And she was something else. And Grandpa was a postmaster. And he had his office in that same place where the grocery store was.
Okay, and you're talking about Walter Monroe Creed, right?
Okay. My grandpa.
Yeah.
That was, I was thinking about something last night, but I wish I could remember what it was. Something that you might,
Say it.
I can almost cut up and telling you last night. Someplace where you might find, you say you can't get very much information about the Creeds. Grandpa got a pension when he retired from school, teaching school. And he gets, I don't know why I remember this, but he was getting, I think it was $37 or $35 a month. But that was little. I tell you, when it went through the Depression, he kept us. with that money. He moved in with my dad, all with Mom, when we came down to Southern California. We weren't here very long, but he went and had a business down here.
What was the business down here?
It was a little motel. They called it something else back in those days. And a little grocery store. And 2 pumps of gasoline.
Where was that at?
It was the end of 5th Street in Santa Ana.
Is it still there? Right now.
No, God, no. It was there for quite a while, though. But he couldn't make any money on it. He lost it.
So what do you...
But I was thinking about if he had if he got a pension, there has to be some kind of information about where he got where he teaches school. I don't know if he taught school in, I know one time they lived in Placerville.
He taught there.
And he taught there? Or did you already try that?
No, I haven't, so I think that'd be interesting. But I know he taught there because I have Grandma's autograph book and he signed it as her teacher.
Isn't that something? And he taught me too.
Was he a good teacher?
Yeah, I could read way before I went to school because he lived with us most of the time after Grandma died.
What do you remember about before your Grandma died? What do you remember about your Grandma?
She was little.
Little, like as little as you, or
yeah, about the size I am right now. I don't know why I know that, but I do. Because somebody must have told me that. But she was so sweet. And she always had cookies. Always. And she loved to sing. And Grandpa did too. Both of them.
Did they sing well, or did they?
They sang good. Sound good to me. Yeah, I think they did. And Grandpa, that was one of his first jobs was singing in the saloon when he was 16 years old.
I didn't know that.
That was in Placerville.
Really? What was the name of the saloon? Do you have any idea?
No. I have no idea.
I know it's Grandma that I know very little about. She's the one I can't find any information on.
You mean the family or just
her family and her in general? Sarah Josephine Wooten.
Well, I'll tell you what I think happened. When Mom got pregnant with me, I think her dad wanted to get rid of my dad because people didn't do things like that in those days. So he didn't like my dad. But my mother was stick with him.
But they'd already been married once.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a little more acceptable.
But what he did is took her away from her family, which I don't think is right.
Your dad?
Yep. Up in God knows what kind of a place that is down there. Where she's seen her brothers. I remember this. Her brothers came up and visited her. And they went into a room and shut the door. So I just wondered I never did find out what they wanted, but I think they probably wanted to take her home. But how is she going to take it home? She had at that time she had 3 kids. But she stayed with him.
Well, what else can you remember about your Grandma, Josie? Uncle Kenny said you always referred to her as Grandma Josie. That's what he told me.
Well, I was the youngest one there, so I just remember
the cookies.
And I remember when she died, they kept the coffins in the house, And I remember going over and going and see Grandma.
Did she have dark hair? Or?
I don't think so. Kids don't pay much attention to that.
Do you remember any of her family?
Mm-mm.
No.
I don't think so. I don't know. You know, what was her mother's name? Wooden?
It would have been Wooten, yeah.
And there's the
Wooden.
Estes in some, too.
Yeah, that ties into the creeds.
And you know, my grandpa had a brother that lived in Washington,
Mm-hmm.
and they had I think that's the one that had the twins, girls that were, they got in the, oh God. Where it's full of mud, part of the river.
Oh. Okay.
What do you call that?
I don't know. I know what you're saying, kinda. So they got in there?
And they were drowned.
Both of them?
Yep.
How old were they?
I think they were 11 or 12 or something like that.
How sad. So what else do you remember then about your father's siblings, like Gladys and Goldie?
Well, Gladys was the oldest one. I didn't see very much of her.
Do you remember what she looked like at all?
She was very pretty. She was short. She was the shortest one.
So it's the creeds that were short,
Yeah.
sounds like.
Yeah, it was. Grandma was little, Grandpa was little. And Ethel was about the same size as you are. And but Gladys really knew how to dress. She always dressed really nice.
She must have had a job that paid well.
No, she found a man.
Or found a man.
Yeah, I think she was married about 3 times. And she raised a girl. Her name was Wayne.
Her first name was Wayne.
It was her Aunt Gladys's best friend. She got pregnant, and the man that got her pregnant went to the war overseas, and he was killed over there. And anyway, this girl, her friend, asked Gladys if anything happened to her, if she would take the baby and raise it. And Gladys said she would. And she did. She didn't go through it. She died in childbirth. So Gladys took Wayne, and she had her until she was 13 or 14. Because she knew where all her people were. They were all in Sacramento. And their last name was Green. He had a car industry, or what do you call them?
Dealership.
Yeah, dealership. And she was a very nice girl. Too bad you didn't get a hold of Kenny.
I know.
Because Kenny, he knew, we always thought she was our cousin. But Kenny knew better. And he's the one who told me.
So tell me about your grandfather. What was his personality like?
Well, he taught us how to play poker.
Was he a happy person?
Yeah, he was.
Gentle?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Grandma was too. But then, but did I tell you about her? Let's see. When I've seen that, my grandma in the coffin, I couldn't see in it, so somebody got a chair or a stool, and I got up on that stool, and I said, "Oh, Grandma's asleep."
How old were you little?
I probably was 6 or 7, something like that. And then Aunt Ethel, she took my hand, and she said, "Let's take a walk." So we walked down to the river and sit on a rock, and she cried. She put her arms around me and she cried. And I didn't understand what she was crying about, you know. Later on I did, but at that time I didn't. I thought she was just asleep. But she was trying to, I guess she was trying to get it through my head that there's something was more than just being asleep, that I wasn't going to see her anymore, you know. And just to her telling me that, she broke down and she cried. I remember that. See, things like this, I remember some things. And they all had to miss her, I guess. I don't remember missing, but I remember something event years ago. So, think about.
What did Grandpa do after? What did Grandpa do after he lost his wife?
He moved in with us. He stayed with us from that, I guess. Then he moved when we moved to San Francisco, because he moved with us. And I was... See, that's something else. Kenny was the one I should have got a lot of. You should have too.
Yeah, should have. Yeah, wasn't done.
He bought a piece of property, and it was called the Masonic Bar. It was across the river, from where the schools was and all the grocery store and all of that. He bought a place over there. There's quite a bit of land there. And they had my dad, that's where they started mining. I don't know how long we lived there. Kids don't have any.
You don't.
About time.
It's true.
And then Grandpa sold all of it to some lawyer that lived in Los Angeles. And that's when we moved into San Francisco. And then he said it's too cold in San Francisco. He wanted to go south, you know, because he hated cold weather. When you get older, you do. So we all moved to Santa Ana. And I hated it. I just hated it. I hated San Francisco, you know, because I was used to being free. We were free. Walk to school, downhill, uphill, a mile, at least a mile, walking to school. When the schoolhouse, that was still there when we were up there. The last time we went up there, but it was on a different. It wasn't right where it used to be. It's the historic thing. And we also went to the graveyard. And that's a historical thing too. And Aunt Goldie was there, is in there, and Grandma Creed was there too. The first time. We was there twice. The second time I went up, it was several years later, that was gone. Remember?
She's there now. She's listed, her marker says Mrs. Creed.
Mrs. Creed?
Yeah, that's what I was told by somebody who lives there.
What was her first name?
Sarah Josephine.
Yeah. But the second time we was there, I didn't see it. No, they moved it. And another thing says Goldie and her baby. Had a baby. And I never knew that either. And Kenny was that time. He said he didn't even know that. So she must have died when it was baby born. Stillborn maybe. I don't know. So, my mother had a rough life. I will say one thing, Dad was good about helping. When we lived up in the hills.
No electricity, no, I imagine.
No. Oh,
like camping forever.
You know, he had a brand new house, and it even had a patio outside. We'd eat outside in the summertime. I remember one time we was eating and we heard a bear, and looked down the hill. It was on the hill, and then we walked about half a block or something, and that's where the trail started to go down to the road. And it was about a mile downhill, and then it seemed like it was 10 miles coming back when you have to go up the hill. But anyway, we were having dinner outside on the porch, and a bear came right down to where that landing is, where the trail starts downhill. And Dad got us all up, and he went and got his gun, and he used some language. I won't go into that language, but he said, that SB, I've been trying to get him a long time. I'm going to get him. Well, it wasn't, because it wasn't dark yet. But by the time I got his gun, that bear was gone. But, and there was rattlesnakes there. Mom said one time she put Kenny outside when he was a baby in a buggy. And then she went out, that's when Dad was mining. She was up on the hill in a little shack. And see, I can't believe my dad, I know he loved her, but my God, he sure put her through. When I look back, the things she's told me, and anyway, she put it out, because it was nice and sunshine. She went out to get him, and there was a rattlesnake in the bed. He was just a baby, just a little baby, and she didn't know what to do. She ran clear down the hill to get Papa, to get Dad, and he came back, and she said all she could think was that baby waking up and his feet going like this, But apparently he didn't. So Dad went up the hill there, and he got out of the baby's. And from then on, she said that was it. She said to him, I'm not going to stay here no longer. So I don't know if everybody took it, but she said that was it for her. That would be it for me too.
Yeah, that would have scared me.
And she wasn't used to that. She did see Well, I shouldn't say she wasn't used to it, because one time when she was about 7 years old, something like that, all the kids were playing, the neighbor kids were there. You've seen her before.
Pictures.
Yeah. And the guys had cleared the land and piled it up, and all these kids was playing there. And one of the kids got bit of a rattlesnake right in the head, and he died right there.
Oh, wow.
And Mom, see, no wonder she like she was. She was deadly scared of us. And I am too.
So where did they move to from there?
Well, that's about the time, I guess, that Grandpa bought that property. Somebody lived in that big house, and after they had moved out, and so we moved in there.
What big house?
It was a big log house.
And this was still in where?
That was the Masonic bar.
And that's in Siskiyou County or Possum?
Oh, right there. It's just across the river. And we stayed there for quite a while, I think.
By standards, how poor were you? Financially? Did you have all you needed, or did you have more than your friends?
I don't remember ever going hungry. Everybody was about the same,
Yeah.
And that's one thing about San Francisco. See, I'd never seen a black person in my life. They had Indians up there, and that's it. And one Chinese guy. Aunt Goldie hated him, just hated him. Every time he came to the store, she'd tell him to get the hell out, You don't belong here and all that kind of stuff. She did. She was terrible. And I don't know who she could have taken after. In fact, I don't know where all those kids were different. Ethel was good.
So tell me some memories about each of your siblings.
I didn't get to go to school till I was 7 years old because I had a flood on the river. No way to get to school.
But your grandpa was teaching you at home. You said you knew how to read.
Yeah.
At school.
I remember some teachers too. There was one teacher, special. She was very pretty.
What was her name? Do you remember?
Her name was, I don't know, she wasn't there long. But I remember because she loved to dance. And you know what folk dancing is? Well, she said, now everybody get ready, we're going to dance, And she teaches those kind of dances. But she didn't last very long there. And then we had one teacher that was, I liked her very much. But I guess I was a kind of a brat too. I know I remember taking gum and they put me in the bath, way in the bath. And I had this gum, and I put some gum in my mouth, and I had to all of it. See how much noise I could make with it, pulling it out of my mouth and all kinds of stuff. So this teacher, her name was Whitney, and she was Indian. And she told me, she says, come here. She made me come up right in front of the class, and she says, we're going out to the woodshed. I knew what that meant. That wasn't the first one I thought. when we got in the woodshed, and she said, she started getting me on the ruler on my hands. And she said, this hurts me more than it does you. But she was nice. But somebody called her some kind of a name. I forget what that one was now. They called it. In fact, they even wrote it. There was no grass on that there. It was all hard dirt. And these bigger kids, Mrs. Whitney is a big something. And she was a good person. I liked her. And I thought everybody liked her, but you know, these big boys. See, all the kids went to the same class. The big ones, the little ones, were all in one class, one room, with one teacher. And you know, that Grant teacher, he spanked my legs one time with a switch. I'll never forget him. I hated him. I tell you. I don't know what was wrong with him.
You don't sound like the model student.
No, I wasn't. I hated to go to school. And one time we all decided we was going to ditch. So we all got together and walked up to there was a creek about from here to that house right there. That's how close the school was. And we all decided, which was about 5 of us, we ditched school when we were supposed to eat and have an hour off, you know. So we all walked up the there was falls up there. It was up a hill, and you go up, and then it's about a mile up, I guess. Some falls. So we got up there, and we all took our shoes off and got in the water. Got our clothes all wet, you know. And these were all little kids. We were all little. And somebody come out, and we stayed. We didn't go back to school. We just stayed there. And some big kid come and got us and told us that we was going to get a spanking when we got back. And so we just said, well, that's okay, because we're not going to go back. We're just going to stay here. And then my dad came and got me. And I did get a spanking. Not very hard.
What do you remember getting your worst spanking from your dad?
About that.
That was your worst one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, who was born first in your family?
Who's what?
Who was born first?
Born first?
Yeah.
Kenny.
Kenny's the oldest, and then
Norma,
and then
me,
then you. Okay, so Grandma had Kenny and Norma, and then they divorced, and then she got pregnant with you, and so they remarried.
She went back to Placerville and left Dad up there in the mountains.
And people didn't divorce back then. And really, it wasn't as common as it is now.
Oh, I know.
Do you know why they divorced?
I think she wanted to go home with her family. And I don't blame her. I wouldn't want to live up there.
Yeah, she was used to...
She went back with him because she got pregnant with me.
Yeah. So she must have loved him.
She did.
Yeah.
He was so different than any of her family. You know,
they were more cultured, more proper, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So after you came, which one?
Sonny.
And then?
Doris.
And then? Okay.
And then Jim.
Okay, so that's why Walt and Jimmy were close.
Yeah, they were.
They were so close in age.
Yeah.
So what do you remember about your older siblings? Like Sonny, what do you remember about him? So you
Oh, I hated him.
Why?
He was always going to snitch on everything I ever did.
Was he fat then?
No.
He didn't get fat until
No.
later. But then, he really wasn't just like chubby like me.
No.
He was big. Yeah. He's the biggest person I can remember ever in our family.
That's why he got that after he went to the war. And he was, cause I've got a picture of him with him and Doris. He looked very good. So when he went to the war, and then when he come back, that's where he started drinking.
Well, maybe he saw some ugly things there.
Hmm?
What war was he in?
The Second War.
World War II?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what rank and stuff he held? Anything about that?
No.
So, Sonny was the oldest, and then who? Then Norma. Then my grandma.
Yeah.
So what do you remember about my grandma?
Well, not very much because she was 6 years older than I was.
The difference. Yeah.
I know she was married and had, I remember seeing Lois when she was baby. So I thought she was the sweetest thing. Norma loved that baby. She loved all her babies. She loved the babies. Isn't that funny? Not funny, but when they would got to that place where there were troubles and she wanted to clean house, she'd run them all outside. Pat did that too.
I do that too. Yeah. And don't come in and sit on anything. I want to clean house for at least a couple hours.
I said that. Well, that's what I've always said. If you want your kids to come in, if you want them, just pick up the mop and start mopping, and they'll all show up.
So what do you remember? So after you came,
I must have been born. No, I wasn't. I was born up there.
so Doris was after you?
No, Sonny.
I thought Sonny was before you. Who? Okay.
My mother had her kids the same as I did. With exception of Doris. See, I had 6. I had Bill, and I had Pat. 6 years later, I had Linda, then Tom, and then the 2 boys.
So which 2 did she have first? Which 2 children did she have first?
She had Kenny and then Norma.
Okay, so what do you remember about Kenny?
Not very much.
Because of the age difference.
Yeah. But I know he bought me a new coat. We went to San Francisco. And, in the train trip, we all came to San Francisco in a train. And he had a place all rented for us. And I remember when we got there, Sonny gets on the top of in the bathroom. There was a places up in the ceiling. And there's a light bulb up with the light place, a socket to put it in, but there was no globe in there. And Sonny got something and he put it up there. And he shot down the shot. He said, that fast. He's sitting on he came up, got up on the toilet. And I guess it must be something to clean the toilet with. I can't remember now, but I remember him getting charge of it. You know?
So it sounds like Kenny felt like he needed to take care of his family, his brothers and sisters.
I think he did it for Mom.
Yeah.
And he stayed right there in San Francisco all those years. But he made good money.
Which is the first member of your brothers and sisters do you remember being born? Were you old enough to remember?
I just took it for granted. I remember when we used to take our baths. Mom had 2 big tubs. She put water on the stove and warm it up. And I remember that Sonny and I were the 2 last ones that all go to the bath, because we were always the dirtiest ones. We pulled some awful things. We put the baby chickens down back in the toilet.
You put the baby chickens in the toilet?
Yep.
In the outhouse?
Outhouse, yeah. Then Dad made us get down there and get them.
Oh!
And then he made us get in an old creek that was there that was ice cold. That's how you do them.
Grandpa or your dad made you?
My dad.
Yeah.
So,
do you remember when Walt was born?
No.
No. Because you were just...
I don't remember when anyone was born. So we weren't there. Now I remember when Mom brought Jim home. I don't remember where she had him or anything. One of those kids was born. Well, that must have been Norma. Remember that place we went to? So, what was the name of that place? That's where she was born.
Where we went to? Okay.
I can't remember. I can just see it, but I can't remember what it was.
So you remember your childhood as happy? For the most part.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty typical.
Yeah.
Happy.
Yep. Back we had all that. Dad made some kind of a rig for us to get down to the foot of the hill. And that Sonny got me up at the top of the hill and... No. I said that's backwards. I put Sonny in it and pushed him down the hill.
So what do you remember about your brother Jimmy?
Well, he likes to study. He likes books. And he loved to draw.
Yeah, I've seen some of his drawings.
And he did, I don't know, he liked policemen. I don't know where he'd get it from, but he did. And I was thinking of when somebody in the family should have kept some of those. He had them in his room, on the wall.
His drawings?
Yeah.
I have a few from Walt. Walt gave me some.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen them.
I'll have to make copies of them and send them to you.
Because I thought about that many times.
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember what they're of, but I just know
He stayed with us for about 3 months.
And how old was he then?
I think he was 14, something, 13, 14. If I had been, probably not so young myself. He used to, every day, he put the boy, Pat and Bill, in the red wagon, and he'd run to the store. It was about a block away. And he'd get himself some Coke every day. And then he'd complain of a headache. See, he died when he was 17. So when he was up there when he was 13. If I'd have been a little smarter about things like that, but whoever thinks about that?
Well, if you don't.
I just know how I was tickled to death to have him there. He was so good with the kids. I don't know how he got back home. I don't think we took him back. Somebody made a trip down. He wasn't proud. And Walt stayed with us for a while too down there in Corona.
Yeah, because you were married young.
He was 17 and a half.
Yeah, so your siblings were still pretty young. You know, they were so younger than you, so
Oh,
they
yeah.
could visit. So, which of your brothers and sisters did you get along with best?
Probably Jim.
Really?
The youngest.
That must have been a shock when he.
Sonny, when they got a certain age, all three of them were a pain in the butt. That's for sure. Because I was dating and I'm going to count Pop. I'm going to count Pop when you got home. You wasn't supposed to be home that. Get home this blah, 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 you know. Who would tell Pop?
So was Jimmy diagnosed with something, or did he just get sick and die?
He got sick, and they took him to the. See, he had scarlet fever when he was about 6 or 7, and we were quarantined. In those old days, that's what they did. But luckily, none of the rest of us got it. And I don't know where, Mom never did know where he got it. Because that's not, it's not like a flu that goes around. But anyway, then when she finally took him to the doctor, and let's see, he went to the, what was the name, Stanford?
Okay.
Yeah, that's where he went. And when I went up there to see him, because I thought he was sick, and I remember so well. I was pregnant. 3 of us girls were pregnant. Frances, Sonny's wife, was pregnant with Butch. And I was pregnant with Linda. And then there was a friend, his name was Jim Sullivan, and his wife she was just ready any day. And he said, boy, he says, I'm going to have some neat kids, let's see, nieces or nephews, you know. He was looking forward to it. And then after I got home, I'd only been home about 2 days when I heard that he passed away. But in the meantime, the doctor took us into a certain place with family, and he said to your brother is never going to get well. Never. He's going to die. You might as well face it. And that kind of teed Sonny off, and he got up and he said, well, if we had more money, we could probably save him. And he says, Mr. Creed, if you had $5 million, $20 million, it would not make it. He'd still die. Now we could get the kidney for him.
It's a different world now.
Yeah, it sure is. And see, that's just now. Remember this, I don't know how long have they had it before they could. But
Did Grandma take it pretty bad?
yeah, she did. And I'll say something about Dad. You know, he was right with her.
It's good.
Yeah,
A lot of times
I remember
that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Well, that was the baby.
Yeah.
The youngest.
And he was a good kid. And Sonny wasn't there. I mean, Walt. He was over in Panama.
I know Walt and Jimmy were really close. So, give me the personalities as adults of each of your siblings.
Oh, Jimmy?
Go through like Grandma Norma and Doris and Kenny, and tell me what they're as adults, what their personalities were as grown-ups.
Well, they all had a sense of humor.
Yeah, I remember that too.
Mm-hmm.
The Creeds, I think, had a sense of humor.
That's what Aunt Ethel told me too. She said they sure didn't get it on the other side. She says they're around with long faces all the time. I don't know. You look a lot like Aunt Ethel.
Oh, I do.
Mm. Your hair about the same.
This mess.
She had curly hair like that. I missed her. Goldie, I couldn't stand Goldie.
But what about you? I mean, like, tell me, like, when Sonny became an adult, what was his personality like?
Like Dad.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
He was like your dad?
Yep.
I remember Sonny, every time I saw him, he gave me a 50-cent piece.
Yeah, let's see. Our kids had some when they came to our house and over here, where Pat lives now. They had two uncles. Now which uncle is it, they'd say? Is it the one that gives us the money, or the one that gives us candy?
They wanted the one that gave the money. Well, I remember Sonny as always being happy.
Yeah.
He
was always, and he always was, he could always keep you laughing if you wanted to. If he felt like, if you had the blues or anything, he was great for that. He'd get you out of it real quick.
Yeah, I remember Kenny again, happy voice. He just always was a good, positive attitude.
Yeah.
That's how I remember him.
Well, of course, if you talk to Billy, she says if he drinks too much, he gets ornery.
Yeah, I never saw that side of him, but I was little. I was pretty little, so. I believe there would have been an ornery side of Doris. I remember some somber sides of Doris.
Doris?
Yeah, when she was drinking.
Yeah. She's sarcastic. Isn't that the word?
Yeah, that's probably where I get that from. I'm a bit of a bitch at heart, so.
You think so?
No, so.
Dear Mother, she has a wonderful, she's like two people in one. Sometimes she's always telling bad things of how, how everything is. It was really bad. And the next time you see her, everything's she's telling stories and jokes.
Yeah. Well, it seems like a lot of the family members' moods depends on how many beers they've had in a day, and so it's... Are there any other stories you'd like to, that come to your mind that you'd like to share?
Oh, there's a lot of them. We used to have to get, when we was on the Masonic bar, Sonny and I went down to the river, and my dad to get across to the river, he had what do you call it? He made it himself, a boat, but it was like a bunch of things folded together and some logs around it. He had a name for it. Anyway, he was coming home on that, and then Sonny and I was down on the edge of the river, in between where the dad gets off of the boat and where we were, between that, there was a bear that Dad could see it, and then he saw us kids, you know, so it was pretty close to the bear, but we couldn't see it because, you know, there's a lot of big trees and everything. So, but he kept doing something, trying to tell us, get the hell out of there. And finally we said, we better go home. We didn't know if there was a bear there, see. And boy, when we got home, we had to climb a little hill to get up there. And we just got up to the top of that hill, when boy, here he comes, Dad did. Oh, my God, he was so mad. He says, you kids are so stupid. Oh, God. But he didn't spank us. I guess they told us so. He says, there was a bear down there, couldn't you see him? No, we never seen him. Just another time a bear.
I can imagine why Grandma didn't want to live there.
I know. You know?
Worry about all your little kids?
Yeah.
I mean, my word. Now, but for Grandpa, he must have liked that. He must have liked being in a wilderness, kind of.
He did.
So that must have been closer to the way he was raised, is my guess.
I think so. I think they said came from Washington, and I don't know.
They came from Illinois, and I wouldn't be surprised if they lived in Washington State for a while. But the Wootons, and this is where Walter Monroe Creed and Sarah Josephine Wooten married in Red Bluff, Tehama County, California.
Who?
Your grandma and grandpa.
They lived there?
They married in Red Bluff.
Oh, they were?
Yeah. And so she was underage, and her father had to write a letter that gave permission for her to marry. But I'd always been told that they'd married in Illinois, but they didn't.
No,
they married here in California.
Grandpa was only about 18 when they come.
Yeah, I don't remember what the age was for him. He might have been 20 or something.
He told me that his job was reading to the kids, the little kids.
On the way over?
Mm-hmm.
Keep them occupied?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember anything else he told you about the trip over?
Well, that's why. Then he liked very much to read to the kids, and everything, and teach them how to read. So then when he got old enough, decided he was going to be a school teacher. And I think he taught for about 42 years, something like that. If I ever get to Yreka, that's what it is. I'm going to go to City Hall and see what I can find out, if I can find out anything. So,
what do you remember about my father? Did you know him at all?
no, not really. No, I just know he was nice looking.
Yeah, he was a handsome man.
No.
What do you remember about me and Grandma Creed?
Oh, Grandma loved you so much. I tell you.
I wonder if I was like a substitute for Jimmy in some way, where she'd lost
It might have been.
her baby
Mm-hmm.
and never had another one.
That's right.
Mm.
Yep. Yes, she's...
I remember she would tell me one of the stories, and I wish I could remember. She told me lots of stories, but I don't remember them because I was so little. I remember she did tell me that when she used to wash dishes, that if she didn't if her father found one speck on them, he'd make her wash every single dish all over again. That's all I remember. Was that she told me.
Well, I remember too. Norm and I, we were both small, and Dad fixed the stools, made some stools, for us to stand on, so we could get up to the sink. He made a sink and put it in his house, and of course all of the water had to be heated on the stove. Mom had a great big tea kettle. Neither one of us could hold it, and Mom, Dad he used to be the one who would get the dishes all ready for us. Warm would wash, I'd dry. And I don't know how old I was, but I think I was about 6 or maybe 7. Everybody, when you got a bunch of kids, everybody has something to do. Yeah. And you better do it. You just take it in. That's why I think good, big families are good in a lot of ways.
I think so too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I wish that I'd had more interest when I was young, because I know that I could sure tell some stories.
Yeah, me too. You don't think about it when
No,
you're
you
young.
don't.
You just don't.
Like Walt told me one time, he says, I didn't even realize I had any parents until I was about 27 years old. He said, that's exactly what he told me. Are we going to go?
Yep, we're going to go.
Just look at how fast this day went.
I know.